the theatrical version of World War Z, hardcore zombie survivalists were shocked to see one of the most hopeful endings to any apocalypse.
World Health Organization has created a vaccine, making people who receive it invisible to the infected.
In effect, this emotionally satisfying finale offered an opportunity for even the most squeamish filmgoers to give zombies a chance. And by keeping those global tensions rolling straight up to the credits, fans have been waiting on a sequel ever since. But in an unreleased director's cut, World War Z featured an entirely different ending, one that completely changed the tone and structure of the film for better, or most likely, way worse.
This isn't the end. We bought ourselves some time. Our war has just begun.
When it comes to the bleak and brutal genre of zombie films, World War Z distinguished itself in more ways than one. Centered on the trials and extensive travels of Brad Pitt's Gerry Lane, these globe-trotting adventures and huge set pieces often feel more like a political thriller than an actual zombie film. Massive in scale, fast-paced, and most of all hopeful for humanity at large. For those weary of the human horrors rampant in so many stories about the undead, the expansive action in World War Z was just what the doctor ordered.
That guy volunteered to come here. He didn't have to, you know. None of them did. Trying to figure out what the hell this thing is.
Sadly, watching the world turn on itself quickly became the norm for the zombie genre, and after years of repeated narratives focused on the worst people on the planet, it felt good to see some cinematic civilians step up. With a scope that fluctuates between the global and the deeply personal, there are moments throughout that completely transcend those grim cliches. But as the film unfolds, it becomes unclear whether or not the world will ever find a solution to the living dead pandemic.
Pull the teeth of all 23 million in less than 24 hours. No teeth, no bite, no great spread.
So when World War Z opted for a truly optimistic ending, the effect was profound. After Gerry Lane bravely sneaks through a lab plagued by the undead horde, he finally reaches a precious stash of zombie pathogens. Cornered and trapped in the lab, Gerry injects himself with a potentially lethal dose as his last remaining option. Once he opens the door and comes face to face with an absolutely terrifying ghoul, it's all but clear his efforts have saved humanity. It's a stark, jubilant moment of pure human triumph. But because this is World War Z, the scope only grows wider. Interspersed between Gerry Lane's emotional journey back to his family are the global trials of the entire human race. Vaccines are developed, wars are waged, and the whole world changes. As the Lane family reunites and every country begins to fight back, the film practically ripples with optimism. With a big heart and a massive opportunity for more World War Z action, the ending seems pretty perfect, right? Well, originally there wasn't always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Once I saw Bitten, turned to 12 seconds. Same here? 5 or 10 minutes?
Because in the first version of World War Z, neither Gerry Lane's nor our planet's fates were cut and dry. In fact, this original ending featured a completely different plot and would have totally altered how we see Gerry and the future of the franchise. In both versions of the script, Gerry narrowly survives a harrowing zombie assault on an airplane during his ongoing efforts to save his family and cure the planet. But in the original script, our hero never arrives on his fateful date with a zombie in a laboratory. Instead, Gerry Lane goes through the harbinger of third act doom known as a time jump.
You know the rules of time jumps, right? Give me the short version.
That's right, rather than having the main character experience any real emotional development, the OG ending featured that time-tested cliche of hurling a protagonist into the future to sloppily set up an exciting new set piece.
You know what this place is?
Of course I do, that's why I'm here.
Now a grizzled warrior on the futuristic front lines of zombie warfare, Pitt's otherwise well-considered character turned into a full-on action hero. Set in the frigid heart of Russia, World War Z's first attempt at an ending had Gerry going full Winter Soldier in the Red Square. But just as we rejoin his efforts as the Rambo of zombie slayers, it becomes clear that the undead are not well suited for colder climates. Watching the characteristically speedy zombies screech to a halt in the ice, Gerry finally realizes it's time to head home. You know, to his family, the one he hasn't spoken to in who knows how long. Oh, and yeah, the side character briefly played by Jack from Lost, he's shacked up with Gerry Lane's wife in this version. In what sounds like one of the most staggering plot decisions imaginable, World War Z originally concluded with Gerry and his band of brothers literally storming America, but with no real indication that he actually finds his family or what happens when the snow stops falling, this finale feels half-baked to say the least.
If we knew where this thing started, then we'd have a chance of developing a vaccine to stop it.
Though not nearly as bleak as the climactic despair of so many other zombie films, something had to change. After a disastrous test screening with producers and executives, nearly everyone walked away from the film feeling let down. It was abysmal, Brad Pitt said of the reaction of the initial ending. It was really painful, but much like the positive outlook of World War Z itself, there was still the potential for hope. According to legendary screenwriter Damon Lindelof, there was much concern over the film studio allowing for a total overhaul of the ending, a change he believed could save the movie. "I didn't think anyone was going to say, let's throw it out and try something else," Lindelof joked. To everyone's surprise, the studios completely agreed. "We just decided it wasn't good enough," producer Dee Dee Gardner recalled. "I see that as a good thing. The ending of our movie doesn't work," producer Mark Evans said, reflecting on the original cut. "I believed in that moment we needed to reshoot the movie."
Look, I'm gonna turn on the money hose for you, okay? We want to back you. We just want to hear that you're confident that we can get the hit machine pumping.
Part of World War Z's inherent charm up to the diverging ending was an ability to flip between the personal and the universal. By reducing that scale to one man's cold war against a zombie apocalypse, the film nearly betrayed its best qualities and even its own source material. Although Max Brooks' seminal zombie novel and the eventual adaptation are about as different as they can be, there is still an underlying sense of global urgency to both. Where the novel showcases small fragments of many characters from across the world and even in outer space, the film is able to show similar glimpses of mass disaster through the eyes of Gerry Lane. And in both the book and film, the zombie outbreak ends on a mostly positive note of human resistance and the promise of a better tomorrow. While Brooks's novel does offer a more depressing future where animals are hunted to extinction, Gerry Lane's hopeful ambitions keep us tethered to the emotional resonance in the film. And in either case, there is a clear distinction between this brand of optimism and the baffling action heroics of the original World War Z ending.
And I specifically thought I would hate it because it was so different from the book. But what shocked me was it was exactly because it was so different from the book that I didn't hate it.
Although the filmmakers were forced to make concessions when it came to their vision, the changes to the ending of World War Z are crucial. And in this instance, the months of reshoots and millions of dollars spent on a new finale paid off. Though rumors of its troubled production spread through the tabloids, moviegoers were pleasantly surprised by this expressive new approach to the zombie genre. With a successful run at the worldwide box office, World War Z most likely avoided an all-out disaster by changing the ending. While it's admirable to take chances in adaptations, especially in quote-unquote unfilmable properties like Max Brooks' novel, you still need to maintain the tone of the source material. By focusing on one man's struggle amid a global zombie pandemic, the filmmakers already went out on a proverbial ledge in adapting World War Z. But when those images of humanity rising up against the undead scourge flash alongside Gerry Lane and his loved ones, the worldwide impact becomes extremely personal. Through it all, World War Z offers us a chance to maintain hope while also understanding the massive changes happening all around us. It's that wide view and sense of purpose that both the novel and film carry effortlessly, and which would have been completely destroyed by one incredibly bleak action movie ending. And that's it for this week's episode. Tell us, what kind of perspectives do you want to see from the much anticipated World War Z follow-up? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, be sure to hit like and subscribe to keep up with all our Nerdstalgic videos.